I've been writing a lot about masculinity, biblical friendship, particularly around this idea of like nice guy Christians, which is sort of plaguing a lot of big Eva evangelism, which I think really came to head during the Trump era, and even today, sort of as we think about like what comes next for the party, and so nice guy Christians, or you can say nice guy in general, is like there was a seminal book written a couple decades ago by Dr. Huber, who is a psychiatrist who identified something in America where that men were particularly behaving in ways that were quite manipulative and immoral, aka trying to be nice. And a part of that is basically never saying what you want, never being direct, manipulating people by being nice and kind to them so they do something that like for you, right? So these like covert contracts, things like that, driven by toxic shame. And a lot of the problems I think that America is facing, from fatherlessness to like issues in politics and stuff that you talked about, you know, plaguing the church in America, about not understanding what Trump was or is, you know, depending if he gets reelected, or what we need to do as a country to, you know, defeat China, things like that. I think it's all connected around the idea of like how men view themselves, and particularly around like being nice, which is very different than being kind, is the indirectness of a lot of men. And that goes everything from like how they work and how they choose relationships and how they have friends and how they don't have friends, how they treat their children.
That's a very astute point.
Yeah. And so I think this is why maybe you and I have experienced a lot, both in our friend group and in working in politics, you know, me on the edges, more you involved, about why we can talk to somebody who's like theologically, morally aligned with us, but then when it actually comes to like doing something, acting, they don't follow through, and you're like you don't understand why.
No, and I'll give you an example. You know, we've had a pastor on once, and I won't say the name. You know, kind of a cool guy pastor who was speaking out against some of the woke stuff. Really nice person, and he invited me to his church. Right, so I texted him like, "Hey, I'm going to be in town." And then he texted back. He's like, "Oh, well, actually, my board doesn't want you to want you to come." I'm like, "Well, yeah, you're exactly who I thought you were."
So, and I think particularly for Christians, so I have a whole section devoted to how Jesus wasn't